Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA,
where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing so you can start your day off the AFA way. And in case you don't know what AFA means, Mark is going to tell you.
I wrote a whole book about it. It's that you're absolutely fucking amazing, exactly as you are. You don't need to be better or different or just anything other than who you are right now.
Mark, we need to plug the book. I'm sorry, we haven't talked about the book in a long time. So this is Wellness Wednesday, and you wrote a book called...
I'm pretty proud. Like, I wrote an Amazon #1 best-selling book. I'm like super stoked. It was released last July, and it's available on Amazon. It's called Absolutely Fucking Amazing: Living a Life You Love. Check it out. It's an easy read, and you'll really get to know a lot more about me. Which, of course, my favorite subject is to talk about myself. So writing a book was perfect.
Three cheers to you, Mark. We're truly teaching people how to live an absolutely fucking amazing life.
Yes.
Through your experiences. And you have a lot of wisdom to share. And what I really love about the book...
a lot of experiences. Holy cow. Yeah.
Is you tie in all of the different principles about total healthcare, mind, body, and spirit. So it's a great book.
Right.
So AFA.
Yeah. So
Daily love.
Here we are, babe. Daily love. So Wednesday, February 10th, 2021. Wild, wacky Wednesday. Welcome. So today's daily love comes from the Daily Word, which was really good today. And it was about, let me bring it up. It was about serving other people, finding joy in service. Now, I'll tell you, I've done a lot of volunteer work over the years. And, sometimes I didn't want to really be there and doing it because I had other things that I needed to get done. But you know what? I would go and I'd do it. And at the end, I would feel so good that, what it allows you, serving others allows you to step out of your life. Like step out of that relentless negative talk. You get out of that and you're serving others. It brings great joy. So
I don't know about you, Mark.
What's that?
I said, I don't know about you, Mark, but that's one of my languages of love.
Yeah.
So, acts of service.
Acts of service. Yeah. You know what? I've had a lot of people in my life where that was their language of love, right? Acts of service. And, for me, it's words of affirmation. So those go pretty good hand in hand. So if I serve you, you say I'm doing a good job. Bing, bing, bing. Hey, it's beautiful. So it says, today I ask myself what service means to me and how best I can serve. What causes and ideas excite me. And, so I mentioned, this daily love, it's coming up on a year that I've been doing this daily love. Now, I don't get paid for it. It actually costs me, $500-600 a year out of my pocket. And I get up every morning. I've done it for almost a year, Sherry. And I've moved 5 times in 2020. And I got married to an amazing, wonderful woman who's bringing me a cup of tea. She's the best ever. Oh, God, I love her.
Best ever. So, Miss Jamie.
I moved 5 times in 2020. I didn't miss a day of doing the daily love. Like every day, 8 a.m. or close to it, I would send out, a recording of a reading that I did. So why do I do that? Why do I get up and do that? Because obviously it's work, right? Why do I do it? Because occasionally someone will reach out and say, you know what, Mark, I really needed to hear that today. It really made a difference. Keep on doing what you're doing. And that's words of affirmation. If I hear that back, I'm on this because that's my service. That's my joy in giving back to the world. So,
and I'm going to say, Mark, I think it's awesome because, you've done a lot of traveling and I remember you being on the road and all of a sudden there would be a daily dose of love right in my text messaging. And they're very, very profound. So the other thing I want you all to think about if you're watching right now is right below, there is a way for you to get your daily AFA dose of love from Nurse Mark. So subscribe to it. Absolutely. Makes a difference.
Yes. So here we go. All right. So
there you go.
Self-care, baby. What's the word of the day? For me, it's service. So
Mm.
today is a day of service. How can I serve other people?
Yes. And you know what, Mark? That is actually going to be my word of the day too, because this is just think about today's Media Wednesday for us. So
Oh my gosh,
we're
we're busy
doing
today.
we're busy today. So we have a
Mhm.
show now. We have a show this afternoon with In the Weeds Prohibition Talk Radio, and we have our show
Yes.
tonight.
Yeah.
So we are being of service because we don't get paid for that. So, right. So why are we doing what we do? We
Mhm.
talk about it every Monday is because we care about you and we know plant medicine works and we want to educate and empower you all to make decisions that are best for
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
So we are of service every morning because we love you all and we want you to know that you're AFA and we want you to reach new levels of wellness. I'm going to tell you right here, if I can do it, so can you. Because there was at
Amen.
one point in time that I didn't think I could.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The other thing that's too
And
cool, Mark, is getting
mhm.
into serving others. It does
Yeah.
help you to get out of your own
Oh,
way,
yeah.
and
Listen, if you
providing
get to
that.
the root of all the self-help programs, right? AA,
Mhm.
NA, all of those, a key critical component of recovering from those diseases is serving others. Like you immediately get into service, whether it's making coffee or helping somebody else. It gets you outside of yourself. So this thing of serving others is absolutely healing. So here we are.
Here
So
we
today,
are.
February 10th, 2021, not going to get another one of these. It's the only one we're going to get. Today, you and I will dedicate that to serving someone else. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Giving up one day out of my life to do that. Today's the day.
Today's the day. And today is Wellness Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wellness Wednesday, where we provide more hugs and nugs of information to you all. So today we're going to review some of the health awareness topics,
Mhm.
as there's a lot of them in February. And then
Yeah.
we're going to go into the one that's coming up on February 14th. So
Mhm.
February is American Heart Health Month. And we want to acknowledge these days. So we've reviewed heart health and cannabis last week. So if
Mm.
you missed that show, go back and check it out. It's a really good
Right.
one. I forgot to mention on Monday. So Monday, February 7th, was National Wear Red Day for
Wear
Women's
Wed Day.
Heart Health. I know, Wear Red Day.
It was Wear Wed Day on Wednesday. And that's, you know what? I'm joking around, but seriously, women's heart health. So
Mhm.
women present differently when they have a heart attack. Like when they have a myocardial infarction, they're having a heart attack, they present differently than men do. And
Yeah.
the thing is that most physicians are trained to look for the basic symptoms of what it looks like in men, right? So
Mhm.
women have different manifestations, and sometimes they're very muted. So it's a little more difficult to determine when a woman is having a heart attack. So we need to be aware and talk about these things. Again, we talk
Yes.
about stuff people don't necessarily want to talk about, and here we are, Sherry. So Monday was Wear a Red Day for Women's Heart Health.
Yes. And Monday was also Congenital Heart Defect Awareness Week. It's
Hmm.
just bringing in awareness to things that people need to learn about and hear about, and to just take into consideration what other people might going through. So Monday was National Wear Red Day. Monday was also Congenital Heart Defect Awareness Week.
Hmm.
This week is also Heart Failure Awareness Week. So cardiac health,
Right.
all
Hmm.
about love, loving the self, taking care of your heart. So the big, huge takeaway for cardiovascular patients that we talked about last week is to get a cannabis specialist, a cannabis nurse, or a professional
Hmm.
person that can do these consultations,
Right.
because we truly want you to have a safe experience. We have found that
Right.
microdosing, starting low with THC and higher
Hmm.
CBD products, patients tend to do really well, and it tends to mitigate side effects
Right.
of starting the higher THC products if they
Right.
need it.
And our friend, Dr. Jordan Tischler just posted up. I saw one of his posts on LinkedIn the other day about a recent study that showed that cannabis did not have negative effects on cardiac health. So
There you
again,
go.
we're early on in this whole
Early
realm
on.
of cannabis medicine, right? And
Yep.
it's been said for a while without much evidence that cannabis can be bad. And there are things which we talked about in our show that you
Mhm.
should look out for, but this recent study showed that there was not a proclivity to have any negative side effects from
There we
cannabis.
go. There we
Heart,
go. But important for everyone to know that we
mhm,
always we educate on start low and go slow and to
always
titrate. Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
And work if
So,
you are on cardiac meds, work with your physician and a
yes.
cannabis practitioner. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Here we go.
So we have the Day of Love coming up soon, February
Ooh.
14th, right? And so National Donor Day,
Uh-huh.
Donate Life,
Yeah.
is on February 14th. So what is Natural Donor Day? Well, it's observed every year to spread awareness and education about organ, eye, and tissue donation, even donating blood, platelets, and bone marrow.
Yeah.
So in observing this day, what we're doing is we're taking small steps to help save more lives and honor the donor's legacy of generosity and compassion.
Right. Right.
So have you all registered as a donor? Just going to put that little word out
I
there.
did years ago. It's easy when you renew your license, they ask you, do you want to be an organ donor? And that puts that little heart on your license so that people know, God forbid, if in the event of an accident, they know that your wishes were to donate your organs. And one of my clients in my last business was New England Organ Donor Bank, right?
There
So
you go.
it was fascinating to see the process that they go through. And it really is, it's an amazing process because think about it, they have to deal with family members, who have had a tragic loss and now need to discuss what they're going to do with their loved one. So it's a very touchy subject. But you know what? You're right, Sherry. It saves lives.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the most difficult things I ever had to do as a traditional nurse working in the intensive care unit. Was working with families and talking with them about organ donations with patients that experienced trauma and that were already brain dead. So it's really, really, really important to have the conversation, have conversations with your loved ones. If something happens, what do you want to happen to your body, your organs?
Right.
So organ donation and cannabis use. Right?
Yes.
Organ donation. So traditionally, donors and recipients have not been selected if they use cannabis. So basically, what's the consideration? Well, more and more patients are turning to medical cannabis to treat their conditions.
Right.
And so what that choice has done is it puts patient in a catch-22 situation. So just think about this. The very remedy that brings relief is also the reason for removal of the organ donor waiting list.
Right.
And this goes for organ donors as well. So it's really, really a very touchy subject, but it's getting better. The more that science has evolved and the more that patients are using medical cannabis, the better it is.
Here's my question, Sherry. Do they also exclude all other pharmaceuticals? Like if somebody's on a benzodiazepine or somebody's on aspirin, do they say that they're excluded? Because this is just another case of the stigma associated with medical cannabis, medical marijuana. It's clearly and blatantly stigma. It has nothing to do with science.
Yeah. So there's two groups in the United States that decide, who gets organs and who doesn't. And one of them is the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, also known as CMS. And the second one is United Network for Organ Sharing. And so their policies are obviously to save as many lives as possible and to provide the transplant recipients for the best chances for long-term survival. So these protocols, what do they have? They have programs and rules and regulations regarding cannabis use in a living donor. And most treat cannabis the same way as they treat tobacco use. Right. So that is really a very outdated paradigm.
Let's be clear, Sherry. Tobacco use kills 500,000 people in the United States a year. Cannabis kills 0. As a matter of fact, cannabis saves probably 500,000 people. All right. So that's the dynamic that we're playing with. It's still stigma.
Yep. So there's protocols. So there's different, like we said, different programs, different rules, but most of these protocols seek cannabis, like we said, as a risk for donors. And they ask them to demonstrate to stop using for 30 days. So what are their concerns? What are like recipients of organ donations? What are they concerned? So people that are going to actually receive the organ, their concern has mostly been about inhalation, right? And smoking cannabis. And so this is really interesting too. So they also have to take anti-organ rejection drugs or immunosuppressant drugs to prevent organ rejection.
Right.
Okay. So transplant patients have a fragile, compromised immune system.
Right.
And the interesting thing too is their whole argument is always around inhalation, and that inhalation may pose an increased risk of containing a deadly lung infection called aspergillosis, which is a fungal infection.
Right.
Really interesting.
Right. Yeah, it is. All right. So what's David Klassen at the United
David,
Networks for Organ Sharing say, Sherry?
oh God, he's the chief medical officer of the United Networks for Organ Sharing. And this is a really profound quote. While aspergillosis is a devastating complication of any transplant, how often is it really linked to cannabis use?
Right.
Right.
And at the end of the day, we're talking life or death, right, Sherry? We're talking people who are on a list. If they don't receive an organ, they will be gone.
Yep. So how much, so just think about this question. How much risk does cannabis really pose versus the benefit of the patient getting the results, saving their life from a transplant? Makes you think.
It does. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
All right. So we got some studies to review really quickly. There's quite a few.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So surveys.
Go ahead.
Studies and surveys. So we've got research, studies, surveys. Okay. So researchers surveyed the American Society of Transplant membership about the policies with actual observed complications to cannabis use.
Right.
The results were really varied. However, what they noted was a big disconnect between perceived risk of medical cannabis use and actual observed complications.
Right.
So their perception is completely different than what they actually observed.
Right. Can I make a point here?
Yes, of course you can.
Something that we deal with all the time, and we're really into this in the master's program in cannabis medical science that I'm about to wrap up. We talk a lot about drug-to-drug interaction, and there's a lot of talk about that in the medical community. And so, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about it. In reality, when talking to physicians who have been cannabis practitioners for 10 plus years, have seen thousands and thousands of patients, when talking about the incidence of drug-to-drug interaction, it's minuscule. There may be 2 or 3 drugs that you really need to look hard at. The rest of the time, it's not even an issue. So again, it's just a lot of talk and perception that's not based on what's really happening.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So researchers reported a lack of consensus among experts regarding marijuana use in transplant patients. So they also, too, this is a really important fact that I thought was really interesting, and I'm just sticking in my head. So the researchers also cited studies that show no difference in survival rates of cannabis users versus non-cannabis users.
Right, because it's a non-issue.
Yeah. So we're getting there, slow progress.
Yeah. Listen, this is why we do this, why we get up every day and do this. We're pushing the needle. We're moving it along.
Yeah, we are. So here's the other thing too. Researchers who have delved into the issue are now showing that these policies are driven largely by attitude, like we said, and case reports rather than a large body of scientific evidence. So once again, just going to reiterate that they are focusing on inhalation and really nothing about the other methods of administration.
Right. Yeah. All right. So what do we got about kidney transplant?
All right. I can't even talk. Retrospective studies. This is a long one for 16 years, 2000 to 2016.
Yep.
Mark.
That's a long study.
That's a long study.
That's a longitudinal study right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So donors and recipients were divided into cannabis and non-cannabis groups, and their outcomes were compared. There was no noticeable difference in patient outcomes. In fact, long-term kidney function was nearly identical. And so studies like this could help increase the donor organ pool. I know we're having it's a wacky Wednesday. These results suggest a living donor who uses cannabis may be safe for both the donor and recipient. So we need to continue to have the conversations, folks. We really do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just a summary, just a quick summary and a quick review.
Yep.
So in summary of these reviewed articles is that recent studies suggest that the overall survival rates in kidney, liver, lung and heart transplant patients, using cannabis is equivalent to non-users. So just think about that. Survival rates, those that use cannabis and those that don't, that have organ transplants, their survival rates are the same. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Finally, transplant teams should not exclude transplant teams should not exclude cannabis users from the transplant list, but instead holistically evaluate a patient for candidacy.
Right.
Integrating these meaningful medical, psychiatric, and social variables into the complex decision-making process. So cannabis should not be something that is even looked at, honestly, when making a decision. It should be incorporated as
it has no impact.
No. So later today on In the Weeds, Prohibition Talk Radio.
Oh, yeah.
We have a Canna Talk segment where we're going to be covering cannabis and kidney disease and how and why patients might be using cannabinoids. So make sure you guys join us this afternoon between 4:20 and 6:20. And what do we got going on tonight, Mark?
Woo! So 4:20, 6:20, you'll be there. And then later on at 8 p.m., we'll be streaming live on the Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse podcast.
Yep. And we're highlighting. What we're doing is we are profiling, highlighting, and illuminating cannabis nurses in the space and all the great work that they're doing.
And that's not a little thing, because listen, folks, it's still a real issue that anybody who's working in the healthcare space, who's working with cannabis, may have issues with their job, with their employer. So for a lot of these folks, they're making a clear decision that they're not going to remain in the traditional healthcare space. They're going to step out into the cannabis world because they have to.
Yeah.
They have to make that break. So this is a big deal still.
Big deal still. So join us tonight. And one last thing, because we love you all, right? We love you all. So we have a special going on right now. Any consultation that you book, Nurse Mark, any consultation with or without a medical card, energy healing, you will get a bottle of Nurse Mark CBD. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark, for loving us all. You're truly AFA.
One at a time.
One at a time. So if you or someone you love is suffering from chronic illness, chronic pain, if you are interested in learning how to incorporate cannabis into your daily regimen for health and wellness, or if you're cannabis curious, reach out to us and we'll teach you how to have a safe adult use experience at www.thegreennurse.com.
And if you're in the healthcare space, come on, join our community. We're all about the love. We're all about the healing. So come in and join us. I mean, we will show you how to integrate cannabis into your practice, into what you're doing to help you help other people be healthy. And you know what? We're a lot of fun. Come on.
We are a lot of fun.
We'd love to have you in the community.
We
Again, go to thegreennurse.com.
All right. And Mark.
Yeah.
What kind of a day you having today?
An AFA day serving other people.
Absolutely. We are at service.
Here we go. What's it all about, Sherry?
Oh, here we go. It is about living your best life and helping others do the same. Have an AFA day, everyone.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow morning. We'll see you tonight. We'll see you this afternoon at 4:20 and tonight at 8 p.m. and tomorrow morning. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by. Cheryl, thanks for commenting. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.